What happens when unchecked power collides with calm at 35,000 feet? On Aurelia Airlines Flight 921, first-class passengers expected champagne and quiet luxury. Instead, they witnessed a sharp crack, a billionaire's hand meeting a flight attendant's face. In that instant, Adam Sterling, a man used to boardrooms bowing at his command, sealed his own undoing. What he didn't realize was that the woman he struck wasn't just a flight attendant. She would turn that single moment into his downfall, recorded, exposed, and unstoppable. The first-class cabin of Flight 921 stretched luxuriously along the plane, rows of wide leather seats gleaming under soft golden lights. Crystal glassware reflected the subtle glow, and the quiet hum of the engines was almost soothing. But in the midst of elegance, a storm was quietly brewing. Adam Sterling sat in his private suite, a glass of champagne in hand, his tailored suit flawless, his posture commanding. Around him, his entourage laughed softly at his own jokes, their amusement punctuating his every smirk. "First class," Adam said, his voice smooth with arrogance. "Nothing like it. The people, the service, it's like the world kneels before you." "Absolutely, Adam," one of his companions replied. "And the staff, they know their place." Adam's gaze drifted to the aisle, where Emma James walked with a quiet grace. Her uniform was crisp, her braid perfectly neat, and her eyes radiated confidence. She moved as if the world around her existed in a slower rhythm, unshaken by the frivolity of the wealthy. "Beautiful, yes, attractive, but black," Adam whispered to himself, a smirk tugging at his lips. His companions chuckled softly, reinforcing the thought he barely dared to voice aloud. Emma offered a polite, professional smile but said nothing. She had learned long ago that composure was a weapon more effective than words. Somewhere near the back of the cabin, Malik Thomas adjusted a seat tray, his hands trembling slightly. It was his first international flight as part of the crew, and every movement felt monumental. He stole a glance at Adam and his entourage, catching the way the billionaire's gaze lingered on Emma with a mix of amusement and condescension. "And who's this?" Adam asked, nodding toward Malik. "The newbie? First time flying first class, I see." "Probably scared out of his mind," one of the entourage muttered, laughing quietly. Malik lowered his gaze, focusing on the tray in his hands, his jaw tightening. There was tension in his posture, but also a spark of determination. Emma walked past Adam's suite to deliver a drink to a passenger. Adam leaned slightly forward, smirking again. "So professional, so controlled," he murmured. "But she's black. You know, you can't ignore it." The group chuckled again, the sound light but edged with entitlement. Emma's eyes flickered for just a moment, acknowledging the arrogance she faced, but her lips remained steady. She knew him. She knew his history, though he had no idea who she was now. He continued, oblivious to her awareness. "Imagine working in this cabin, and all this, just for a uniform and a smile. Some people are born to serve, others to rule." Emma's thoughts were calm, precise. "He doesn't recognize me, but I know him. By the end of this flight, he will remember." Malik watched her from the side, feeling a mixture of awe and reassurance. She wasn't just a flight attendant. There was something commanding about her presence, something that suggested she had lived far beyond the confines of the cabin. Adam noticed the subtle interaction between Emma and Malik and misinterpreted it. "Even the boy looks up to her," he said with a smirk. "It's amusing, the way they try to impress." Emma's expression never faltered. She continued her work, poised and graceful, the epitome of professionalism. Inside, though, a quiet storm was forming, one that would soon turn the tables. Let him play the fool. Let him believe he's untouchable. The flight has just begun. The flight had settled into a rhythm, but Adam Sterling's mood was anything but calm. Every service Emma offered, every professional gesture she made, seemed to fuel his amusement, and more dangerously, his sense of superiority. He leaned back in his seat, swirling the champagne in his glass, eyes fixed on her as she moved effortlessly down the aisle. "Look at her," he said to his entourage. "Perfect smile, perfect posture, Almost makes you forget she's black. One of his companions laughed, a hollow sound meant to signal agreement, though it carried no real warmth. Emma handed a tray to a passenger nearby and then approached Malik, who was trying to steady a clattering coffee cup. "Here, let me help you with that," she said softly, placing a steady hand over his. "Just a little tilt. Yes, that's it." Malik's eyes met hers, gratitude and awe shining through. "Thank you," he whispered. Adam noticed, smirk widening. "Even the boy needs guidance," he remarked. "First flight, first-class nerves. Charming, really." Emma moved past him again, maintaining the same calm composure she had from the start. Her thoughts, however, were focused. Let him think he's untouchable. Let him believe this is all he controls. As the minutes passed, Adam's remarks became bolder. "Tell me, Emma," he said, leaning toward her with a fake warmth that barely concealed condescension. "Do you enjoy this? Flying around, serving people like us?" Emma paused just long enough for him to notice and smiled politely. "I enjoy traveling," she said. "Serving is part of my role, yes, but it's not the reason I do this job." Adam's smirk faltered slightly, a flicker of confusion crossing his face. "Ah, modesty," he said, forcing a laugh. "Well, admirable, but still, you must know your place." She held his gaze steadily. "He underestimates me because he cannot see the world beyond his wealth. That will be his undoing." Malik, watching silently, felt a surge of courage. Emma's composure inspired him. He straightened his back, taking a deep breath, and began to work with renewed confidence. Adam noticed the subtle shift and scowled, the laughter from his entourage not quite reaching his eyes. "And you," he said, nodding toward Malik, "this is your first time among us, I presume. Must be intimidating." Malik kept his expression neutral. "I'm focused on doing my job well," he said calmly, though his voice betrayed a hint of tension. Emma passed by once more, carrying a passenger's request with efficiency and ease. Adam's gaze followed her, a mix of admiration and scorn evident in the set of his jaw. "She moves with such confidence," he murmured, "almost beyond her station." Emma's inner voice was steady, deliberate. "Station? She sees him, but he cannot see me. Let him continue. He will learn soon enough." Adam's entourage exchanged uneasy glances. They could sense the tension rising, though they could not articulate it. Something about Emma unsettled them, though her uniform and polite demeanor suggested she belonged exactly where she was. "You know," Adam said, leaning toward one of his companions, "I've dealt with many people like her. All the charm, all the confidence, they rarely amount to much beyond a pretty face." Emma walked past again, adjusting a passenger's blanket with gentle precision. Her braid swung slightly, the motion almost rhythmic. Adam watched, irritation flickering in his eyes. Malik noticed it too, the way Adam's eyes lingered, the subtle tightening of his jaw. He felt a protective surge for Emma, though he knew better than to act overtly. Emma's thoughts remained controlled, strategic. Let him think he's in control. Let him think he knows everything. Pride will blind him, and when the truth comes, it will strike harder than he imagines. By now, whispers among passengers began to register. Some noticed the tension in Adam's corner, some the effortless grace of Emma as she moved. None could have predicted the storm gathering quietly, just beneath the surface. Adam, sensing that his remarks were no longer provoking the expected reaction, leaned back again, champagne in hand. "I suppose," he said, voice tight with a mix of amusement and frustration, "we all have our roles. Some are born to lead, others to serve." Emma's lips curved into a small, controlled smile. "Roles are temporary. Character is permanent." Malik caught her glance briefly, and for a moment it was as if a silent understanding passed between them. He was learning from her strength, her patience, and her subtle command over a room that included one of the wealthiest men on the planet. Adam took a sip of his drink, unaware that the seeds of his humiliation were already sown. He thought he controlled the cabin, the flight, and everyone in it, but control is an illusion. Emma moved to the galley, her back straight, her movements deliberate. Malik followed her subtle guidance, beginning to feel the weight and potential of his own courage. The flight continued, the luxury untouched, the engines humming steadily. But within the confines of first class, a quiet reckoning was already underway. The flight had passed its halfway mark, yet the tension in first class had only grown sharper. Adam Sterling, confident in his wealth and the unquestioned respect he believed it commanded, leaned back in his seat, swirling his champagne. Every glance at Emma James seemed to fuel his sense of superiority, though he had yet to understand why her presence unsettled him. "You handle this cabin with remarkable skill," he said aloud, the smirk barely masking the faint edge of irritation in his voice. "Almost makes me forget the circumstances. But don't get too comfortable, Emma. This is first class after all." Emma's response was polite, measured. "I strive to provide the best service to all passengers, sir. It's part of the job." Adam laughed softly, the sound carrying the weight of condescension. "Of course the job. How admirable. But I can't help noticing there's a certain poise about you, almost like you belong somewhere far above this." Emma's lips curved into a subtle, knowing smile. Her mind raced, calculating. She knew the exact moment to plant the seed of curiosity. "He doesn't recognize me, but he will remember soon. Patience is key." Nearby, Malik continued to assist passengers, moving with growing confidence under Emma's quiet guidance. He had begun to sense the subtle game unfolding between the two of them, and found himself caught between awe and anticipation. Adam's entourage exchanged uneasy glances. Their laughter had grown quieter, their earlier amusement replaced by a sense of discomfort. Something about Emma defied their expectations. Her calm, measured responses, the way she held herself with authority even as she served, even as she appeared to defer. Adam leaned closer to his companion, whispering, "There's something familiar about her. I've seen that face somewhere. Or perhaps it's the confidence. Strange." Emma, overhearing the faint murmur, suppressed a smile. Familiarity. Yes, but he does not see the truth. For a brief moment, a flash of memory crossed her mind. A boardroom from years ago. A powerful man issuing commands, decisions that shaped an empire, and a child quietly watching from the corner. Emma had been there, observing, learning. The same man, the same arrogance, only older now, and still blind to the impact of his past actions. She approached Adam's suite under the guise of refilling drinks. Her movements were precise, almost casual, but each step carried weight. Adam's eyes followed her, curiosity mixed with lingering superiority. "You're unusually attentive for someone in your position," he remarked, raising a brow, "almost as if you've learned from observation." Emma kept her expression neutral, offering the smallest polite nod. "Observation is part of understanding people and situations, sir. It helps to anticipate needs and ensure everyone's comfort." Adam chuckled, masking a fleeting unease. "Interesting. I've met many in service roles over the years, but you have a presence I can't quite place. Reminds me of someone I once knew, someone connected to important decisions in business circles. Curious, I can't remember where." Emma paused, pretending to adjust the tray in her hands. Inside, her thoughts were sharp, precise. Now, just a hint. Let him think he's imagining it. He will dig deeper, and curiosity will drive him straight to the truth. Malik observed silently, sensing the shift. Emma's subtle power over the situation was mesmerizing. She was no longer just a flight attendant in his eyes. She had become a force of composure and intellect, challenging assumptions without raising her voice. Adam's smirk wavered slightly, a flicker of recognition hidden behind layers of arrogance. "There's a familiarity here, but impossible. She couldn't be who I think she might be." Emma handed him the refill glass with exacting precision. "I focus on excellence in every task, sir. It's not about past connections, only the present." Her words were simple, but the weight behind them lingered. Adam couldn't name it, but the subtle authority in her tone struck a chord he had not expected. He tried to regain control of the interaction, leaning back and masking his unease with humor. Well, I suppose some people are naturally commanding, even in service roles. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Emma's inner voice was calm, deliberate. Let him believe he controls the narrative. Soon he will discover that control is an illusion. Minutes passed, punctuated by the quiet hum of the engines and the soft rustle of service. Adam continued to make small remarks, but his usual sharp confidence was dulled by an unspoken question. Who is she really? Malik's hands moved smoothly, guided by Emma's example, and he felt a small surge of pride. Observing her, he understood that strength was not always loud. Sometimes it was quiet, unwavering, and entirely invisible until it revealed itself at the perfect moment. Adam's eyes lingered once more on Emma, searching for the connection he could not place. He noticed her calm composure, the subtle smile, the way passengers seemed unconsciously reassured by her presence. A seed of doubt took root. Emma moved toward the galley, her steps deliberate, yet seemingly casual. She had begun planting fragments of her past, subtle hints to unsettle him, to awaken curiosity and anxiety in a man used to unquestioned dominance. The flight continued, smooth and uninterrupted on the surface, but beneath the quiet luxury, a confrontation of wills was already forming. Adam Sterling, unaware, sat perched on the edge of discovery, and Emma James, in full command of her intellect and grace, prepared for the moment that would change everything. The game is in motion. He has no idea how close he is to unraveling. Adam Sterling sipped his champagne, the cold glass cool against his hand, but no amount of luxury could mask the flicker of unease crawling through him. He had faced ambitious people before, clever negotiators, cunning rivals. But something about Emma James unsettled him. Her calm composure, the way she moved with precision and confidence, made him question his assumptions. "Tell me," Adam said, leaning slightly forward, voice smooth but edged with curiosity. "You've always been this poised? Or is it a learned skill?" Emma paused, offering the smallest polite smile. "Poise is a combination of experience and intention, sir. I strive to maintain it in every interaction." He laughed lightly, but there was tension beneath the sound. "Experience, You've traveled widely?" "I have, yes," she replied. Her tone was neutral, professional, but it carried an undercurrent of meaning. "Not for necessity, but by choice. I enjoy observing, learning, understanding people and situations. It's fascinating how much can be seen from careful attention." Emma's lips curved slightly. She could feel the moment approaching, the moment where she would let him recognize just enough to unsettle him completely. "Positions and titles," she said softly, "do not define who we are. Influence is measured by impact, not by what others expect." Adam's laughter faltered for a fraction of a second. Something in her words resonated uncomfortably. He tried to maintain control, leaning forward with the familiar arrogance he had relied on for years. "Interesting. You sound almost familiar. Perhaps it's your manner or the confidence. I feel like I've seen you somewhere before." Emma nodded subtly, deliberately withholding the truth. "It's possible. I've observed many things over the years. Some moments remain in memory longer than others." The remark lingered in the air, sharp and quiet. Adam's mind began to race. He had a faint recollection. Years ago, a young girl had been present at a keyboard meeting, her father chairing the session, guiding and shaping decisions he had once dismissed as inconvenient. He had remembered her only as a child, insignificant in the grand scheme of his empire. But now, could she be the same? Emma walked past him, carrying a passenger request with meticulous care. Her movements were effortless, almost casual, but each gesture carried weight. Adam's eyes followed her, searching, trying to reconcile the poise and authority with the memory of a child he had once overlooked. "You have a way about you," he said quietly, almost to himself. "It's unsettling. I can't place it, but it feels important." Emma responded with a small, controlled nod. I believe we all leave impressions, sir. Some visible, some subtle. Perhaps this is one of those moments. Adam's entourage exchanged uneasy glances. Even they could sense the tension, the shift in the cabin's atmosphere. What had started as arrogance and amusement now carried a subtle edge of fear and uncertainty. Malik, still observing, began to understand the depth of Emma's control. She was not merely serving. She was guiding the situation, steering it toward a reckoning that would leave no room for Adam's arrogance. Adam leaned back, attempting a laugh, but it lacked its usual ease. You speak with authority, yet I sense humility. An odd combination, perhaps too odd to ignore. Emma's inner thoughts were precise, measured. Now, let him linger in uncertainty. Let him search for answers where none are obvious. Control is an illusion, and he has already lost it. The plane continued its steady hum, passengers unaware of the subtle battle unfolding around them. Drinks were poured, blankets adjusted, and a few murmured thanks passed between passengers and crew. But beneath the calm exterior, a storm of realization was gathering in Adam Sterling's mind. He had underestimated Emma James. He had mocked her, assumed she was nothing more than a professional performing her duties. And yet she had not only matched his composure, but subtly dismantled the certainty he had relied upon for decades. Emma paused near the galley, giving Malik a brief glance. There was reassurance in her eyes, a silent acknowledgement that the first step had been taken. The moment of confrontation was approaching, though Adam was not yet aware. The flight had settled into its cruising altitude, the engines humming softly, masking the tension quietly building in first class. Adam Sterling leaned back in his chair, glass in hand, eyes following Emma James as she moved down the aisle with flawless composure. "Look at her," he muttered to his entourage, smirking. "All polished and professional. Almost makes you forget she's black. Almost." One of his companions chuckled, awkwardly echoing his sentiment. Yes, she's impressive, I guess." Adam grinned, the arrogance radiating. "Impressive, yes, but let's be honest. She's still just a girl in a uniform. Beautiful, sure, but black. And somehow that seems to annoy me less than it should. Almost ironic." Emma passed by, serving passengers with calm precision, offering polite smiles and steady hands. Her composure did not waver, though a flicker of awareness passed through her eyes. She knew exactly who Adam Sterling was, and she knew he had no idea who she truly was. "Even the boy back there," Adam continued, nodding toward Malik, "looks nervous. First time in first class, trying to act like he belongs. It's adorable, really." Malik kept his head down, focusing on his tasks, but the jabs stung. Emma, sensing the rising tension, moved slightly closer, her calm presence acting as a buffer between Adam's arrogance and Malik's uncertainty. Adam leaned forward, smirk widening, and spoke loud enough for nearby passengers to hear. "I mean, look at her. Smile, hands steady, polite, almost professional. But black, remember? Funny how people can have charm, skill, and still be beneath a certain class in my eyes." Emma's response was quiet, controlled. "I focus on my duties and ensuring passengers are comfortable. That is all." Adam chuckled, dismissing her answer. "Ah, yes, the standard line. Always polite, always restrained. You must have a lot of practice, managing feelings that don't matter to anyone." Emma's eyes flickered toward him, cool and unflinching. He mocks without understanding. That arrogance blinds him. And arrogance always underestimates. She moved down the aisle, passing Malik again, guiding him subtly to steady a tray he was about to tip. "A little tilt. Yes, just like that," she whispered. Malik nodded, grateful, trying to regain composure. Adam noticed, leaning toward his companion. "Even the boy looks up to her. Can you believe it? Must be nice to feel important for 5 minutes while serving someone like me." His companion snickered, uneasy at Adam's cruel amusement. Emma's composure never wavered. She moved efficiently, deliberately, calmly, but the quiet tension she radiated was unmistakable. Adam's jabs, meant to belittle, began to feel hollow, somehow less certain. "Do you know?" Adam said, loud enough to draw a few curious glances. "I've met people like her before. All smiles and charm, thinking it matters. It doesn't. People like her, and the boy too, will never see the world I control. It's amusing they try." Emma's voice was measured, precise. "Control is often temporary, sir. Perception of power is not always reality." Adam's smirk faltered for a moment, his confidence flickering. He waved it off, though, leaning back with false ease. Interesting line, coming from someone who's still in a uniform. Almost philosophical. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. You serve, you smile, and that's it. Emma's inner voice was sharp. Let him mock. Let him speak. Every word he utters reveals the arrogance he cannot hide, and arrogance always underestimates the patient. Malik, observing, began to sense Emma's quiet authority. She was not arguing, not confronting, but her presence alone was shifting the energy of the cabin. Even Adam's entourage, laughing nervously at his remarks, seemed subtly unsettled. Adam's mocking continued, growing bolder, even cruel. "Look at her, eyes straight ahead, confident, professional. Almost makes me forget she's black. Almost. And the boy, so eager to impress me, so eager to serve. It's almost pathetic." Emma's lips curved into a slight controlled smile. Let him believe he's untouchable. Let him believe he controls the space. That belief will crumble soon enough. The cabin remained calm on the surface, but beneath it, a quiet battle of wills had begun. Adam's arrogance kept him blind, while Emma's composure and awareness planted the seeds for the reckoning that was slowly approaching. She moved toward the galley, every step deliberate, as if marking her territory quietly, imperceptibly. Malik followed her example, learning from the way she commanded attention and respect without confrontation. Adam stared after her, a flicker of doubt and irritation crossing his features. He didn't know why, but the mocking words he threw seemed less powerful. He had assumed superiority, but Emma's calm presence refused to yield. Malik was walking down the aisle, careful with the tray, when an elderly black woman from economy raised her hand politely. "Excuse me, young man, could you help me get to the restroom? I'm having trouble reaching the button." Malik straightened immediately, nodding. "Of course, ma'am, right this way." He stepped forward, offering his arm for support, while Emma followed silently, ready to assist if needed. Adam Sterling's eyes narrowed, his lips curled into a mocking grin. "Oh, this is rich," he said loudly enough for his entourage to hear. "Look at this, the boy serving first class, running errands for someone from the back of the plane. Ha, how pathetic." He waved toward Emma. "And look at her, the mighty flight attendant guiding him, making sure he doesn't fumble. For what? So she can bow and scrape to someone who barely matters in this world?" His companions chuckled, some nervously, but Adam continued, venom in his tone. "You see this?" he said, gesturing toward Malik helping the elderly passenger. "The boy, sweating bullets, trying to look useful. And the girl in the uniform, black as night, thinking her instructions mean anything here. It's almost funny. No, wait, it is funny. They actually believe their little roles matter to me." The elderly passenger looked down, uncomfortable with the public ridicule. Malik's face reddened, but he held his composure, trying not to react to Adam's insults. Emma's eyes briefly flicked to Adam, steady and calm. She did not respond verbally. Let him continue. Every word only exposes his arrogance. Adam laughed harshly. "Oh, come on, watch him struggle. Watch him balance that tray while she bossily hovers over him like some general in a marching band. All this effort, all this training, and for who? A lady from the back of the plane who will forget all about you the second she lands." He leaned toward his companion. "And look at her, black, trying to act like she has authority. Funny, isn't it? The audacity. Confidence without a title. Charm without value. She probably thinks she runs this place. She runs nothing." Malik gritted his teeth but remained silent, concentrating on helping the elderly passenger. Emma stayed beside him, her calm posture shielding him from some of Adam's venom. Adam's smirk widened. And you see, she's directing him, the poor boy, like he's incapable of the simplest tasks. He's just trying not to embarrass himself. Pathetic. All of it. Her, him, even that old lady, is a little circus for my amusement. I swear the entertainment value of this flight is priceless. He chuckled darkly. I've never met anyone so overconfident and underqualified. And she's really something. Black, standing there like she matters. It's laughable, almost heroic in a sad, embarrassing way. Emma finally spoke, her voice low but precise. Sir, Malik is simply assisting a passenger. That is his duty, and that is all. Adam laughed again, louder this time, mocking the words themselves. Duty, huh? You think following rules and moving trays makes you important? You're amusing, both of you. And that old lady, look at her, trying to act important by asking for help. Comedy gold. The elderly passenger looked down, embarrassed, clutching her blanket. Malik led her toward the restroom, his hands steady despite the humiliation Adam was raining down. Adam leaned back, satisfied, smirking. See what I mean? They all pretend to matter. The boy trying to look competent, the girl black and bossy, and the lady in economy thinking she deserves attention. I could watch this all day. Really, pathetic little parade. Emma's expression did not change. She did not argue, did not flinch. Let him mock. Let him feel in control. He doesn't know the history, and he doesn't know who he's really facing. Malik, inspired silently by Emma's calm, adjusted his posture, keeping his hands steady, refusing to let Adam's mockery shake him further. He was learning something important. Strength could exist without confrontation, without retaliation, without giving the arrogant a single victory. Adam glanced toward Emma one last time, smirk still in place, but a flicker of unease crossing his face. Something in her silence, in the way she carried herself despite his words, gnawed at him. He didn't understand it yet, but the balance of power was subtly shifting, and he hated it. Emma moved down the aisle, subtly guiding Malik back toward the galley. She did not say another word to Adam, but her calm, steady movements were a quiet reminder that his mockery did not dictate the cabin. Malik returned to his station after assisting the elderly passenger, hands still slightly trembling from Adam Sterling's relentless mocking. Emma followed, her movements calm, deliberate, and precise, a quiet anchor in the chaos. Adam's gaze was fixed on them, a cruel smirk playing across his lips. "Oh, look at this," Adam said, loud enough for nearby passengers to hear. The boy shaking like a leaf, being bossed around by the girl in uniform, and the old lady from economy, watching them struggle. It's absolutely priceless. He gestured toward Emma, sneering. And she, guiding him as if she's important, black, bold, thinking she matters here. It's laughable. Really, they all think they're clever. Pathetic. A few passengers subtly raised their phones, filming the scene. One whispered to another, "Is he serious?" Another shook her head quietly, capturing the arrogant display. Emma noticed, but said nothing. She continued guiding Malik with subtle hand motions, keeping him composed. Adam's smirk widened, unaware of that recording. Do you see how she hovers? Giving orders to the boy like she's running the whole cabin. Black as night, acting like authority comes naturally. Hilarious, isn't it? At that moment, a white flight attendant passing through first class laughed openly. "Oh my God, he's right. Look at them, so desperate to impress." Her laughter rang out, punctuating Adam's mockery. She didn't know Emma's background or Malik's abilities, and that ignorance emboldened her cruelty. Emma's eyes flicked toward the two mocking figures, steady and unflinching. She didn't speak. Instead, she moved smoothly, silently guiding Malik, her gestures barely perceptible, but unmistakable to him. Malik took a deep breath, finding renewed focus under her quiet command. Adam leaned closer to his entourage, voice dripping with arrogance, and the boy, trembling like a child, trying so hard to look competent, while she directs him every step. The audacity. And all of it for who? A passenger from economy who won't even remember their names after the flight. Emma whispered one word to Malik. Observe. It wasn't a command to fight or confront, just a subtle reminder to stay composed. Malik followed her lead, adjusting his posture, steadying his hands, and focusing on the work rather than Adam's insults. Adam laughed harshly, ignoring the passengers filming. Look at her, trying to assert authority. Confidence without a title. Black, thinking she has a place here. And the boy, eager to please, thinking he matters. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. The white crew member chuckled again, nudging a colleague. I mean, come on, she's bossy and he's terrified. This is the best in-flight entertainment I've seen in years. Emma didn't flinch. Instead, she subtly adjusted a drink on a tray, small and precise, yet her movements carried a quiet assertion of competence and control. Adam noticed the calm, the lack of fear, and a flicker of unease crossed his face, though he quickly masked it with a forced smirk. Hey, he leaned back in his seat, swirling his glass of champagne. They all pretend to matter. The girl, the boy, the passengers. They perform for my amusement. And I must say, it's entertaining. Truly priceless. Emma guided Malik toward the galley, whispering another instruction under her breath. He followed, gaining confidence with every step. He realized strength wasn't about confronting Adam directly. It was about maintaining calm under ridicule, observing, and staying strategic. Adam's voice rose again, mocking. And notice her. She thinks she's clever, giving directions, acting like she's in control, black and bold, trying to command respect. What a joke. Really, it's almost painful to watch her delusions. A young passenger in first class, phone still recording, glanced nervously at Adam. A few others exchanged looks, sensing the cruelty on display. Emma's presence, calm and composed, made the contrast even sharper. Adam's arrogance looked petty and overblown. Adam smirked, trying to regain his full sense of superiority, but the unease lingered. Something about Emma, the precision, the awareness, the subtle gestures, pricked at his memory, though he couldn't place why. He shook his head. Just a flight attendant. Nothing more. Stop imagining things. Malik, steady now, followed Emma back to her station, noticing the subtle shifts in Adam's demeanor. Even the white crew members' laughter began to feel uncomfortable, as if the smugness of mockery wasn't enough to dominate the scene. Emma paused briefly near a passenger, adjusting a blanket with quiet authority, signaling subtly to Malik. He caught the message. Patience and observation were their greatest tools. Adam remained oblivious to the lesson forming right under his nose. The cabin hummed with tension. Phones were still recording. Passengers whispered quietly, some with curiosity, others with unease at the display of arrogance and racial mockery. Emma and Malik maintained their composure, knowing that the moment of confrontation was approaching, but it wasn't yet time. Adam took another sip of champagne, his smirk intact, but his confidence subtly shaken. The arrogance that had dominated the cabin since the old lady incident now faced silent resistance, and he didn't yet understand the storm he had provoked. The aisle was tense. Malik, carrying a tray, stepped carefully, but as he moved past Adam's first-class seat, one of Adam's companions deliberately jutted a foot into the aisle. Malik stumbled, barely keeping his balance, the tray tilting dangerously. "Oh, watch him," Adam barked, laughing loudly. "The poor boy can't even walk straight." And she, the mighty black flight attendant, is supposed to guide him? Ha! Comedy gold. A few passengers gasped quietly, some still recording on their phones. The old lady Malik had helped earlier watched from her seat, her face showing concern and discomfort. Emma moved swiftly, stepping in as Malik began to recover. "Careful, Malik," she whispered, steadying him with a light touch. Her calm, precise movements kept the tray level. Adam's smirk widened, more venomous than ever. "Oh, come on, he's practically falling on his face, and she's hovering like she's some kind of hero. Black girl thinking she's in charge of anything here. It's pathetic." A white crew member passing by again chuckled and nudged another colleague. I mean, look at them. So dramatic. He's trembling, she's bossy. It's like watching a little play. Emma's eyes flicked toward the two mocking figures, unflinching. She didn't respond verbally, but Malik caught her subtle signal. Steady, precise, and ready. Adam leaned toward her, voice low but sharp, dripping with sarcasm. And you, trying to control him, keep him from embarrassing himself? Black, bold, thinking you matter. Really, it's laughable. Do you even realize how ridiculous this looks? Emma paused, fixing him with a steady gaze. Sir, Malik is performing his duties correctly. That is all. Any disruption is not his fault. Adam's smirk faltered slightly, irritation flickering in his eyes. Oh, so she talks back now? Black girl, flight attendant, correcting me? His tone was incredulous, bordering on fury. Emma's voice remained calm, measured. I am only stating the facts, nothing more. The aisle went silent for a moment. Passengers recording the scene glanced nervously at Adam. His arrogance now clashed with the rising awareness in the cabin. Adam's temper snapped. Facts? You think your facts mean anything? You little... He reached out impulsively and slapped Emma across her shoulder. The sharp sound echoed through the cabin. Gasps filled the air. Malik froze, the tray tilting again. The white crew member looked startled, finally realizing that physical aggression was beyond acceptable. Phones captured the incident, flashes of the moment already recorded by several passengers. Emma's composure did not break. Her eyes narrowed, not in fear, but with the sharp calculation of someone who had long anticipated this moment. She steadied herself, her presence suddenly commanding, unshakable. You don't know me, she said slowly, her voice controlled, cutting through the tension. Every word was deliberate. But I know you, more than you think. Adam blinked, a flicker of recognition, or was it unease passing over his face? What do you mean? He stammered, trying to regain control. Emma took a measured step closer, standing tall. You've underestimated people all your life, Mr. Sterling, and you're about to learn why arrogance is dangerous. Malik, emboldened by her calm, straightened immediately. He looked toward Emma, seeing the quiet authority she exuded. For the first time, he felt the strength to stand firm, even in the face of Adam's aggression. Passengers whispered among themselves, some clearly impressed by Emma's poise, others shocked at Adam's loss of composure. Phones still recorded every moment, a silent witness to the unfolding confrontation. Adam's face tightened, anger and disbelief clashing. He opened his mouth to retort, but found the words failing him. There was a pause, tense and electric, as Emma's controlled gaze pinned him in place. You thought you could mock us, humiliate us, Emma continued, voice calm but sharp. You thought no one would see, but everyone here saw, and the truth always has a way of revealing itself. Adam's smirk wavered. The laughter from his companions had died down. Even the white crew member had gone silent, sensing the shift in power. Emma's posture radiated confidence, authority, and hidden strength. She didn't need to shout. Her words, her presence, and the undeniable injustice of Adam's actions spoke louder than any confrontation could. Malik straightened further, no longer trembling, his eyes on Adam. He now understood what Emma had been teaching silently. Composure, observation, and strategy were more powerful than brute arrogance. The cabin held its breath. Adam, once supremely confident, now felt the first real cracks in his control. The recording devices, the witnesses, the calm yet commanding presence of Emma, and Malik's newfound poise all combined to make him question, even for a moment, the arrogance he had wielded so freely. Emma's eyes met his one last time, sharp and unwavering. This isn't over, she said, her voice low, measured, and dangerous. But the first lesson has already begun. The cabin had gone silent after the slap. Even the murmurs from passengers holding their phones froze. Every eye was on the scene, every camera recording Adam's arrogance and Emma's calm defiance. Malik stood beside her now, steady, his confidence fully regained. Emma took a slow, deliberate step toward Adam, her posture unyielding. Her voice was calm, measured, but it carried a weight that made even Adam hesitate. "You think you know who I am, Mr. Sterling," she began, letting her words sink in. "But you've only ever seen what you wanted to see, a flight attendant, black and bold, here to serve. You've judged based on uniform, color, and position. But there's a history you forgot." Adam's smirk faltered. He straightened in his seat, eyes narrowing. "What? History?" His voice held a slight edge of unease. Emma's gaze didn't waver. "Do you remember a certain board meeting, years ago? You were arrogant, dismissive, and certain that no one could challenge you. There was a young girl observing quietly, unnoticed, unassuming. You didn't see her. You didn't remember her. But she remembered you." Adam's jaw tightened, a flash of recognition in his eyes. I don't know what you're talking about," he said, though his voice betrayed a flicker of doubt. Emma continued, voice precise, each word measured. "That girl was my father's daughter. He chaired the board of your business at the time. He trusted you, guided you, and yet you, arrogant, entitled. You mocked and undermined him. You assumed your wealth and status made you untouchable." A hush fell over the cabin. Passengers exchanged glances, some wide-eyed, others whispering. Phones recorded every word, the narrative of past injustice now colliding with the present. Adam's fingers tightened around his champagne glass. I don't understand. What are you saying?" His usual arrogance wavered, replaced by confusion and a hint of fear. Emma took another step closer, her presence commanding. "I am saying that the person you chose to mock today, the black flight attendant who guided your inexperienced crew member and tolerated your abuse, is not who you think she is. I am Emma James, the daughter of the man whose work enabled your empire. And unlike you, I am not defined by arrogance or entitlement." Adam leaned back, trying to mask his unease. His smirk returned briefly, but it no longer carried certainty. "That's impossible. You're just a flight attendant." Emma's eyes locked onto his, steady and unwavering. "I chose this role because I love travel, not because I need it. I have been watching you for years, observing your arrogance, your entitlement, your cruelty. Today in this cabin, you finally revealed yourself exactly as you are. And everyone here is seeing it." Her subtle nod toward the passengers recording the incident drew attention. A few of them whispered, realizing the significance of what was unfolding. Adam's entourage shifted uncomfortably, their laughter and smugness gone, replaced by silent disbelief. Emma's voice dropped slightly, sharper now. "You thought mocking me and Malik, humiliating us in front of everyone, would go unnoticed. But your arrogance has blinded you. You forgot one lesson. Actions have consequences." Malik, emboldened by Emma's calm, took a step forward. "Sir," he said, voice steady, "I may be new at this, but I've learned that respect isn't earned through fear or wealth. You underestimated us both, and that mistake is on you." Adam's face flushed, a mixture of anger, disbelief, and dawning realization. He opened his mouth to retort but found the words faltering. The certainty he had carried for hours, maybe years, was slipping. Emma paused, letting the silence stretch, every passenger aware of the shift in power. "You mocked me for my race, my role, my competence. You mocked Malik for being new, for being black, and you laughed, along with others who didn't know better. But none of that can hide the truth." Adam's hand shook slightly as he raised his glass, trying to maintain a veneer of control. I don't know what you're trying to..." Emma cut him off, her tone calm, cutting, precise. "I am reminding you, every insult, every assumption, every moment you believed you controlled this space, you were wrong, and now you are seeing what you refused to see. Strength is not in mockery, and power is not in arrogance. It is in composure, in truth, in awareness. And you, Mr. Sterling, are the one who will face the consequence. A murmur ran through the cabin. Passengers shifted in their seats, some recording, some whispering, all witnessing Adam's first real crack in confidence. The white crew member, who had been laughing earlier, now looked stunned and uneasy. She realized the gravity of the situation. This was no ordinary confrontation. Emma's gaze softened slightly but remained firm. This is just the beginning. There is more you will see, more you will understand. Today your arrogance has met its match, and it will not leave you unchanged. Adam's smirk had completely vanished. For the first time in the flight, he looked small, uncertain, and exposed. The arrogance that had defined him was gone, replaced by confusion and the dawning fear that he had miscalculated entirely. Malik, standing beside Emma, straightened his shoulders, finally free from the humiliation that had plagued him all morning. He looked at Adam with quiet authority, reinforced by Emma's steady presence. The cabin held its breath. The battle of arrogance versus calm authority, of entitlement versus awareness, had shifted. Emma had revealed enough to unbalance Adam, but the full reckoning was yet to come. The cabin remained tense, the recordings in passengers' hands capturing every motion, every word. Malik had regained his composure, standing quietly beside Emma. She moved calmly, guiding him subtly, her presence commanding without a word. Adam's sterling smirk faltered slightly as he processed the subtle defiance in her posture. He tried to mask it with arrogance, leaning back in his seat. "You really think you can make this look like something?" he snapped, his voice sharp but uncertain. Emma said nothing. Adam's eyes narrowed. "Don't think I don't see you, girl. Always hovering, always pretending you're in control. Pathetic. Do you know what pathetic looks like? You right there, bossing my crew member around like you matter." The white crew member, who had laughed earlier, glanced nervously at Adam, realizing the tension had shifted slightly. "Sir, maybe," she started, but Adam waved her off, frustration flaring. Don't you dare," Adam barked. "I don't need anyone whispering to me. You think I don't know how this looks?" His words were harsh, but there was a tremor beneath the surface. He glanced at the cameras, the phones, and felt a slight prick of doubt, though he tried to ignore it. Malik adjusted his tray, his hands steady. Adam's anger sharpened. "And you, boy, can't even carry a tray without stumbling? She's directing you, making you look competent. Are you seriously relying on her? Laughable." Emma moved closer to Malik subtly, signaling him to stay calm. Her calm presence infuriated Adam more than words could. "Stop moving her hands around. Do you think your little gestures make a difference?" Adam shouted, his voice rising, a mixture of confusion and anger. Passengers whispered and glanced at each other. Phones recorded the escalating scene, but Adam remained determined to maintain authority, even as uncertainty gnawed at him. Emma didn't respond, letting her calm composure speak. Adam's voice grew harsher. "You think you're clever, huh? Acting like this flight is yours? You—" He cut himself off, running a hand through his hair, his confidence faltering under the quiet defiance he could not break. "Stop pretending," he spat, his tone sharp and explosive. "I have built everything around me. I control everything, everything. And you, in your uniform, black and bold, think you can, what, challenge me here?" Malik, sensing the rising tension, subtly adjusted his position to give Emma more space, silently acknowledging her control. Adam's breaths came faster now. "Everyone is watching. You think this humiliation will look good for you? It's ridiculous." His harsh tone masked his growing confusion. He didn't understand how she remained so composed, how Malik moved confidently under her guidance, how the cabin seemed to lean subtly toward them. Emma's eyes flicked toward Adam briefly. No words, just a steady gaze. That small look was enough to unnerve him further. "Do you hear me?" Adam barked, voice breaking slightly. "I am Adam Sterling. Do you understand? I am not someone you—" He cut himself off, frustration flashing across his features. His smirk was gone, replaced by a tense grimace. Passengers shifted in their seats, some whispering quietly, others still recording. Even the white crew member seemed hesitant now, her earlier laughter gone, replaced by unease. Adam's frustration boiled over. You think you're untouchable? You think I can't see the game you're playing? Stop. Stop pretending to be calm. You're a flight attendant. This isn't your stage. Emma's silence hit harder than any words could. Every passenger could see the contrast. Adam, loud, harsh, and increasingly desperate. Emma, composed, subtle, and unshakable. Adam slammed his hand lightly on the armrest, leaning forward. Do you hear me? I've never met anyone like you. You, he faltered, voice shaking. Confusion and anger battled inside him, leaving him exposed in front of everyone. Malik caught the brief glance Emma gave him, understanding, patience, observation, and restraint. The public humiliation was building, but the final blow hadn't yet come. That moment would arrive when Emma turned the power she held outside the cabin against him. Adam leaned back, chest rising and falling rapidly. He tried to speak again, harsh and clipped. I don't... Why? Why are you not afraid? You should be. This is my space, my control. Emma said nothing. She let him stew, his harsh words echoing in the cabin, recorded by dozens of devices, observed by dozens of eyes. Every harsh, confused outburst chipped away at the image he had worked so hard to maintain. The cabin remained silent but tense, every passenger aware that the arrogant billionaire had finally met someone he could not intimidate, someone who would not play by his rules. Adam's confusion and frustration had reached a peak. Mr. Sterling, Emma began, her voice calm, firm, cutting through the tension without a hint of raised volume. Your behavior on this flight, mocking, humiliating, and even striking a crew member, is unacceptable. You have assumed arrogance is power. It is not. Adam's jaw tightened. He opened his mouth to retort, his voice harsh but faltering. Excuse me? Who? Emma held up a hand, silencing him without aggression. Her calm authority made his protest seem small, almost absurd. Listen carefully. I am Emma James. Flight attendant, yes, but more than that, someone who understands the consequences of entitlement. My father chaired the board of your company. I know the workings of your empire, and you, sir, are not untouchable. Adam's eyes widened slightly, his confidence slipping further. He tried to mask it with a harsh laugh, sharp and clipped. You what? A flight attendant? You think you can control me? You don't understand. Emma didn't flinch. She leaned slightly closer, her tone still controlled, measured, but now with unmistakable authority. I understand far more than you imagine. Your wealth and status do not shield you from accountability. Every insult, every humiliation, every act of arrogance has limits. And today, those limits have been reached. Adam's hand twitched as he gripped his armrest. Limits? Ha! You think you can intimidate me here? On my flight? In front of... He broke off, swallowing, realizing that everyone in the cabin was watching and that the passengers' devices were documenting his unraveling. Emma reached into her pocket calmly and pulled out a compact satellite phone. She pressed a few buttons, and the soft hum of connection confirmed a direct line to her father and board members. She spoke briefly, clear and precise, outlining Adam's behavior in a few sentences before ending the call. You see this, Mr. Sterling, she said, her gaze unwavering. That was a direct call to those who hold real authority, board members and decision-makers. You will answer for your actions. Adam's eyes flickered to the device, confusion and panic colliding with indignation. What are you doing? You can't. This is absurd. His voice rose, sharp and strained, cracking with frustration. Emma let her words sink in, her calm posture reinforcing her dominance. I am demonstrating authority, Mr. Sterling, something you never learned. Influence is not about wealth or intimidation. Influence is about knowledge, strategy, and action. You humiliated Malik. You struck me. And you assumed arrogance would protect you. Adam's breathing grew faster, his frustration mixing with fear and disbelief. I've built everything. Everything. Do you think everything is meaningless if you cannot control your own conduct? Emma interrupted, firm and precise. She didn't shout, but each word landed with the weight of undeniable truth. The arrogance you wielded for so long has limits. Today, those limits are clear to everyone around you, and soon the consequences will be tangible. Adam's smirk was gone entirely. His usual quick wit and verbal dominance faltered as he tried to process her calm assertion of authority. You're a flight attendant. You can't. This is ridiculous. Emma's gaze remained steady, unyielding. I am a flight attendant, and I am someone who understands power and accountability. You assumed the flight, the cabin, even Malik and me were beneath you. You were wrong. Passengers whispered among themselves, some recording, others wide-eyed at the unfolding confrontation. The white crew member who had laughed earlier looked ashamed, realizing she had supported arrogance at the wrong moment. Emma's hand moved subtly, tapping the satellite phone once more, signaling that the communication lines were active and under her control. Malik noticed her gesture. The plan had begun. Adam's tension skyrocketed as the realization hit him. His arrogance was no longer armor. It was exposure. You will learn, she said softly, firmly, but not aggressively, that power without respect, wealth without integrity, and arrogance without awareness has limits, and I will ensure you face them. Starting now. Adam's harsh, confused breaths filled the silence. His face was pale, jaw tight, eyes darting nervously around the cabin. He had no idea what was coming next, only that the carefully constructed image of control he relied on had already begun to crumble. Emma stepped back slightly, her composure absolute, Malik following her lead. In the eyes of the passengers, the crew, and the devices recording every movement, Emma had claimed authority over the arrogant billionaire, demonstrating that his actions, even here in first class, had consequences. The stage was set. Adam's major fall, the one that would threaten his wealth, his reputation, and his empire, was about to begin. But it would happen on Emma's terms, in front of him, and with total strategic control. The cabin hummed with tension as the plane began its descent. Malik moved quietly beside Emma, trays now stowed, passengers securing themselves for landing. Adam Sterling sat rigid, eyes darting nervously, every movement betraying the unease he tried to hide. He had faced Emma's calm authority in flight, but he still assumed he could reclaim control once they touched down. Emma remained poised, her eyes briefly scanning the cabin, ensuring everything was in order. She did not speak, did not flinch. Her calm composure contrasted sharply with Adam's visible frustration, jaw tight, hands fidgeting on the armrests, eyes glued to her. The plane touched down smoothly, tires kissing the runway. Passengers shifted in their seats, seatbelts clicking, the hum of the engines lowering. Malik remained beside Emma, calm and composed, while Adam Sterling sat rigid, his fingers tightening around the armrests. His confidence, battered by the flight, wavered further. As soon as the wheels fully stopped, Emma reached into her pocket and pulled out the phone. An incoming call. She answered, her tone professional and concise. Yes, she said, voice low but firm. The flight has landed, he is present, and the situation requires immediate attention. Adam's phone rang. The caller ID flashed. Board of Directors urgent. He froze, eyes widening. Adam reluctantly answered his call, voice sharp but faltering. Hello. A stern, authoritative voice cut through immediately. Mr. Sterling, this is the board. Your behavior during this flight is completely unacceptable. Mocking, humiliating, and striking employees will not be tolerated. Your actions have directly harmed the company's reputation. Effective immediately, your executive privileges are suspended. All accounts under your control are frozen pending review. You will provide a full explanation in writing and in person. Adam's face went pale. What? You can't. This is... Another voice chimed in, crisp and unyielding. You assumed your wealth and status protected you from accountability. They do not. Your conduct was observed, recorded, and verified. The company and the public will hold you responsible. This is not negotiable. Adam's voice cracked as he tried to argue, stammering, I've built everything. Emma stepped closer, still composed, her eyes locking onto his. You see, Mr. Sterling, wealth and arrogance are illusions of control. Real authority is knowledge, strategy, and accountability. You humiliated Malik. You struck me. And now, even here, your actions are being addressed directly by the board, in real time, before witnesses. Adam's phone buzzed again. A second confirmation from the board appeared on the screen. All privileges suspended. Legal and PR review initiated immediately. Consequences are effective immediately. Passengers, many still recording the flight's events, leaned forward, whispering. Some clapped softly, acknowledging Emma's calm command. Even the white crew member who had laughed earlier shifted uncomfortably, recognizing Emma's flawless orchestration. Emma's hand moved subtly, tapping her satellite phone once more. Malik noticed her signal, understanding that the situation was fully under her control. You assumed dominance here, she said, voice calm but firm, that wealth and intimidation could shield you from consequences. You were wrong. Your actions are now being handled with precision, publicly and officially, and you are powerless to stop it. Adam's breath grew harsher, more erratic, his face flushed, jaw tight, fingers gripping the armrests. The smirk that had once commanded fear was gone. He was exposed, humiliated, and powerless, all in front of witnesses and passengers, recording every move. Emma stepped back slightly, Malik following. She allowed the scene to unfold fully. The passengers' applause grew, some quietly, some more audibly, recognizing her composure, her strategy, and her authority. You will learn, Mr. Sterling, she said softly but unwavering, that arrogance has limits. Authority without respect, wealth without integrity, and cruelty without accountability cannot protect you. Today, those limits are clear, executed in real time, witnessed by the very people you thought were beneath you, and confirmed by those who truly hold power. Adam sat frozen, trembling slightly, eyes darting to passengers, crew, and his own frozen devices. He realized fully for the first time that his arrogance had exposed him, that his wealth and status were meaningless against calm strategy and rightful authority. Emma's composure never wavered. The stage was complete. Adam Sterling had been publicly and professionally humbled, his immediate consequences executed flawlessly. The flight had landed, so had the reckoning, and in the calm, precise authority of Emma James, everyone in that cabin understood that arrogance could meet its match, and that match had just taken control. The plane doors opened, and first-class passengers began disembarking. Malik stayed close to Emma, but she moved with deliberate calm, letting every step carry authority. Adam Sterling followed behind, visibly tense, his posture stiff, fingers twitching with anxiety. He had survived the flight physically, but the events that had unfolded left him exposed in ways he had never imagined. As they entered the terminal, Adam's phone buzzed incessantly. Notifications piled up. Messages, alerts, breaking news. His once private arrogance was now public property. Videos from the flight, captured by passengers' phones, were circulating online. Each clip highlighted his mocking tone, his condescending gestures, his racist comments, and even the moment he struck Emma. The viral spread was immediate. Emma's eyes scanned the terminal calmly, noting reactions. Passengers who had witnessed the flight pointed their phones discreetly, some whispering comments about the billionaire who had finally met his match. People walking by looked curiously at Adam, some shaking their heads, some openly staring. The aura of dominance he once carried into every room was gone, replaced by embarrassment and disbelief. Adam fumbled with his phone, trying to respond to calls and messages, but the board's interventions were already in motion. Each notification reinforced the finality of his loss. Executive privileges suspended, corporate accounts frozen, legal and PR reviews active. His influence over his company, his empire, was now in the hands of the board, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. But the humiliation did not end there. Emma's subtle coordination meant that the financial consequences had already begun to manifest. Stock prices tied to Adam's personal holdings had plummeted. Shares that once made him untouchable were now at record lows. His wealth, carefully built over decades, was slipping through his fingers. Employees and investors alike began to distance themselves, citing ongoing investigations and loss of trust. The empire he had prided himself on was crumbling. Adam's face went pale as he realized the magnitude of the fall. People in the terminal were no longer just staring, they were judging. Some whispered, some filmed, others laughed quietly, seeing the arrogance of a man who once commanded respect, now reduced to a viral spectacle. Emma walked ahead, composed, purposeful. Malik flanked her silently. The public could sense that she was the orchestrator of this reckoning, the calm force behind the chaos. Every eye that saw Adam trailing behind her understood that the arrogance of wealth could not shield him. One of the passengers, recognizing Emma from the flight, whispered into a phone, "Did you see her? She handled him perfectly. Not a shout, not a scene, just authority." The comment circulated almost instantly among the crowd. People began sharing clips of Emma's composed confrontations mid-flight, alongside footage of Adam's tense reaction in the terminal. Adam attempted to speak, to justify himself, but his voice faltered. Words that once commanded meetings and boardrooms now seemed hollow, empty, meaningless. Around him, strangers passed by with eyes of quiet judgment. His reputation, carefully curated over decades, was unraveling in real time. Meanwhile, Emma's phone buzzed lightly. A final update from the board confirmed that Adam's suspension was formalized, public, and irrevocable pending full review. His control over the company had been removed, and any attempt to reverse it would require approval from people whose trust he had already destroyed. Adam's smirk, the one that had carried arrogance through years of boardrooms and business deals, was gone. His shoulders sagged slightly. He realized that his power, wealth, and influence, the very things he had weaponized to demean and intimidate others, were now irrelevant. He was powerless, exposed, and alone in a sea of witnesses. Emma slowed as they approached the exit, giving him one final look. Calm, steady, unyielding. Malik glanced at her, impressed not just by her composure, but by the strategic precision that had orchestrated this complete unraveling. "Remember this, Mr. Sterling," Emma said softly, voice carrying just enough for him to hear. "Authority is not built on wealth, intimidation, or arrogance. Influence is earned through respect, integrity, and accountability. You ignored that lesson for too long. Today, everyone saw the truth." Passengers nearby, some filming, some just observing, nodded quietly, a subtle wave of validation for Emma. The man who had mocked, belittled, and struck was reduced to a figure of humiliation. His empire teetered, his reputation lay in tatters, and the world had seen it all. As Emma and Malik walked away from the terminal, leaving Adam in the center of a slowly growing crowd of spectators, the billionaire's phone continued to buzz, alerts, notifications, and warnings, all reinforcing the reality. The empire he thought untouchable was now at the mercy of his own arrogance and Emma's strategic precision. The terminal had become a stage, and the audience had witnessed the ultimate reversal of power. Emma James, calm, composed, and authoritative, had executed a reckoning that no wealth, no empire, and no arrogance could prevent. Adam Sterling's downfall was no longer a rumor. It was public, immediate, and undeniable. And in that moment, everyone watching understood. Arrogance has limits, and Emma had masterfully revealed them. Wealth can buy influence, but it cannot buy respect. And arrogance? Arrogance always has a price.